Meanwhile, Russian dissidents are also warning us. Miriam Elder is a veteran journalist who reported from Russia for nearly a decade. She wrote a piece for the New York Times over the weekend describing how when Vladimir Putin fully returned to the presidency, keep in mind, Orban came in 2010, Putin came in 2012, you know, after having Dmitry Medvedev fill in for him for 4 years. So Putin is back. And when he came back in, just like Orban, and frankly, I think just like Trump is going to do, the first thing he did was crack down on dissent. Started putting protesters, you know, putting protesters in jail and going after journalists. So what happened then in 2012 was that it hadn't, you know, it wasn't all that bad yet. And so basically, most of the left-wing press, most of the people who would protest Putin, basically just said, okay, that's it. I'm going to retire. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to go, you know, go to work at McDonald's or something. You know, enough of this, you know, showing up in the street stuff. And that complacency basically gave Putin what he refers to as a free hand to launch, you know, further repression internally, but then also to, in 2022, to go out and attack Ukraine. And he said, we became insular. We lost sight of everyone else's interests. He says it was the start right now with the war in Ukraine, with a completely destroyed civil society. What I didn't understand then was that it was just the beginning. Which reminds me of that professor that Milton Mayer interviewed for his book, They Thought They Were Free, where, you know, this professor says, you know, we really couldn't imagine where it would end up. I mean, you know, you spoke out, but the people said you were an alarmist. It seemed like there was something to be concerned about, but was there? We just didn't know. We had no idea where this was going to go. You know, we had never seen anything like it before. Well, you know, the Hungarians and the Russians had both seen the example of Germany. I mean, they'd seen it up close and personal. Germany had invaded both countries and seized Hungary. And yet, the dissidents in Germany and Hungary allowed Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin to crush the opposition, seize control of the media, solidify their control over the nation, and that was the end of that. So, you know, what do we do? Reasonable question. I'm not sure that anybody has an answer for that. So, anyhow, 16 minutes past the hour. I'll be back with more of the news of the day, and you're back, specifically your calls right after the break. What's on your mind? Do you think Kamala Harris should run for president again? Do you think that, I'm assuming we'll have an open primary for the 2028 election. I don't see how it could be otherwise. Or should she run for governor of California? You know, why isn't she out there kicking Trump's ass right now in the media? What's going on?